What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, turn your post notifications. Today we got a video that's gonna be a little bit different than usual. It's not a very difficult haircut. It's something very basic. It's something that you will see more so on the daily basis of being behind the chair. A lot of times Instagram and YouTube highlights haircuts that are, they are in the shop, but not something that is as regular. So right now we're gonna go ahead and comb the hair. We saturate it with water, and we're gonna go ahead and lay it down in the natural direction that it wants to lay. After we do so, we're gonna make a traveling guideline from the crown to the forehead, and this guideline is gonna serve as a stencil, if you will, for the left and right side, a guide for us to use to cut both sides of the head. And I'm taking off about, I want to say maybe ½ an inch, just knocking this down, not too much. He's getting a slight trim with a number 1.5 on the side, and taper the neck, square up the sideburns. So something that simple is usually going to take you about 20 minutes. So that's the typically that's the a businessman type haircut that you're going to get in the shop. So you can see I'm working on the left side of my client's head right now. We're pulling the hair from the center over to the left side, using that guideline to cut off any hair that sticks past that guide. I'm going to do the same thing to the right. Now after we do that, I am going to cross check, as you see me doing here. You can see the peaks in the middle from the hair that we cut earlier. And we're just taking horizontal sections and cross-checking our work to make sure that we have even cuts all the way back. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bridge the bulk of the hair with the fade, with the area that we're going to fade. So we are going to go along that ridge area and blend in any hair that we need to. And that is what I'm doing at this portion right here. Now what we do to one side, we do the other side, like always. The same thing goes with shear work, and that's what I'm taking care of right now. Now, typically, right there, you can see I'm showing you what part of the ridge we're cutting off, and we're knocking that all down. My client here is Filipino. I live in an area that is very driven with different cultures and diversity, so that's good for me because I'm able to learn constantly different hair textures. But right now we have that 1.5 guard. On the clipper, I'm using the Stylecraft Rebel. I'm making my first initial guideline, and we're going to take that all the way around the head. And so usually when I do my tutorials, I'm usually starting off with the trimmer for my bald line, but for this instance we are using the 1.5 lever closed all the way around the head. But for this video I am going to do one side at a time, so we'll do the right side, then the left side, then we'll taper the neck out. So after we do so, I am going to take that 1.5 guard, open up the lever, and you can see me here making a panel of hair to fade into. Now once I get that panel of hair to fade into created, I will close the lever all the way, open it slightly, one notch on the clipper, and we'll begin to take out that line. Now as I start to flick with that 1.5 guard, I see that you don't really have to take out much. You don't have to do much work to get that knocked out. So that's one of the luxuries of starting off your haircut with like a 1.5 guard or a 2 guard or a 3 guard, so forth. You won't have much work to do on the side. So you can see me here just messing with the lever, knocking out that first panel of hair that we have. Now after I do so, we will go up to that number 2 guard, but before we do that, I have the 1 guard and doing clip over comb. So a 1 guard plus the comb is going to equal like a 1.5, and I'm kind of going with the contour shape of his head. We're creating a shape for this haircut. Now once we do that, I have the number 2 guard lever open. We're creating another panel of hair to fade into, and then we will proceed to close the lever and knock out anything underneath that bulk of the hair in that panel area knocked out. So we'll close the lever right here, and we'll begin to fade out that line. So you can see right there the line that was created, and we're just going to buff that out using our number 2 guard. Lever closed, and then we open it slightly one notch and begin to open the notches all the way until that lever is completely open. And with my client in the chair right now, my client is Filipino. He has that Asian textured hair. It's a lot similar to my father's, to be honest. My father's Thai, and Asian hair and Native American hair has to be the hardest textures of hair that I have run into personally, which is very ironic, me being half Asian and half Native American. But you can see me here trying to take out this line right here. I cannot get it with that 2 guard lever closed, so I do revert down to a 1 guard lever open, and I'm kind of using the first couple teeth of the blade to make sure we get this area detailed and knocked out. And you can see it did the job. Now a lot of times you will have clients that have areas in their hair that are more dense or less dense, and you just have to learn to be able to tackle that by lever playing, using your different guards, using your lever at different angles to knock those areas out to make sure that you can get the best possible blend that you can. Now you can see here we kind of got a drop shape from the front to the back, and it's going to come out nice and blurry. As long as you follow your steps, follow a process, you will create some continuity in your haircuts. And that is the goal. That is the goal as a new barber, is to make sure that you are creating some type of system that works for you. This system is the one that works for me personally, and it's one that I have used since I started cutting, and I have kind of tweaked it here and there since I started. But this is overall the basic system that I have used. Now we have that number 3 guard that we were messing with there. Close the lever, start fading out the line of the panel of hair we're creating, and get that knocked out. Now, like I said, Instagram and YouTube has been a highlight of all barbers. It's a highlight reel. It doesn't really directly portray every haircut, every client that has not the best canvas possibly, but we put on Instagram and YouTube the highlight reels of our haircuts. So I thought it'd be nice to put in a basic style haircut that I do see quite normally inside the shop. And that is what we're doing here. But just like any of those other haircuts that we do, whether it's a bald fade, whether it's a taper, you are going to follow some sort of system with your clipper work that will be continuous throughout any type of hair texture. Now you can see here I'm kind of just detailing with that number 2 guard, messing with the lever, just getting out any imperfections that I see, any areas that need to be blended just a little bit more. And I will take that number 3 guard lever closed, and I'm using the comb as my guide basically to blend into the ridge of the head. Now I have that comb slightly tilted in, and we're just creating a more round shape by doing this. This is not an orthodox way of using clip over comb at all, but it's something that I picked up that works for me. So a number 3 guard over the comb is going to be roughly a 3.5 guard. So what I'm doing is I open the lever on my clipper 2 notches, which is halfway open, and I'm just blending out that area that we created using the clip over comb to get the rest of the hair blended. Now I will see that everything is not as blended as I'd like it to be, so I do go clipper over comb, no guard, lever open, and begin to blend as much as I possibly can out doing clipper over comb. Now this may just be a 1.5 on the sides, tapered neck with squared sideburns, but you want to make sure that you are detailing this type of haircut just as much as you would a bald fade or a taper with waves. Make sure that every client gets the same detail that you would give another client. Now you do notice in this video my client is chewing gum, which is one of my biggest pet peeves, but you got to work around that. It was an early haircut, and I just wanted to get this video filmed for y'all. But one of the things about chewing gum is that you can see when he chews his gum, his head kind of creases and uncreases, and it creates these areas that get darker, which make it seem like there's a line there when there's not. That's one of the biggest reasons why I try to deter my clients from chewing gum while they're in the chair. But right here I had a 1 guard, and I just kind of tapered that area lightly towards the sideburn. That way the hairs aren't very long right there. And we're gonna go ahead and square it off with our Low Pros, our Babyliss Low Pro FX. In my opinion, these right now are hands down the best trimmers. You may hear different from other people, but for me, the Low Pro FX is hands down my favorite trimmer in the game right now. It's got the DLC 2.0 blade on there, and we're creating a C cup for my client, making it nice and crispy. We'll go ahead and edge up that neck area. As you can see here, it just slices through hair. Any texture, it'll slice right through it. I love this DLC and trimmer combo. And we're going to edge up around the ear. And right here, I use the ear as a pivot point. So I point there to the clipper and the finger, and right there I'm going in a circular motion, using that portion of the trimmer on that portion of my finger as a pivot point to create the perfect circular motion and the perfect circular shape around the ear. So that's just a little bit of a nugget for y'all, a little cheat code if you will, for doing edge ups around the ear. Now what we do to one side, we will do to the other side. We're gonna go ahead and mimic everything we did on this side on the left side, but I will time lapse that portion as it is the same exact process. So I go around those areas that I cut with the trimmer with the shaver. I got the Stylecraft Prodigy. We're gonna go ahead and knock out this area, make it completely bald so we can create that very nice contrast of the edge up to the skin. Now like I said, what we did to the right side, we will do to the left side. Create that symmetry, make sure that the haircut is nice and even. You can see here, nobody is in the shop at all. It was like 7 a.m. Well, not like, it was 7 a.m. when my client had came through. He is a dentist here in Amarillo, Texas. He started working here. I believe he's fairly new to the area. He found me. He's my mom and dad's a dentist, so he's always showing love, coming through, trying to get a haircut. Him and his brother are now clients of mine in the chair, which is dope. Word of mouth has to be the best way to advertise, and it always will be, in my opinion, for because people have real life people telling them how a person did at a job. Now right here, I made my first guideline using my Stylecraft Rebel, and then we open the lever, create a panel of hair to fade into. Once you create that panel, we close the lever all the way, and I began to flick up. I open it one notch, we flick up, open it up another notch, and then flick up until our blade is completely open. Now for me, I believe I talked him into getting a taper on the neck when he first started coming to me. At first he just wanted a 1.5 on the side, scissors on the top, but for me, I feel like a tapered look looks a lot more presentable. My client wears a lot of collared shirts. A lot of times when you square the neck right off the bat, a lot of that stuff grows back quick underneath that line you make on the edge of if you square the neck off. So I think that for me, I try to get as many clients to get a neck taper as possible because it just grows back a lot more evenly, a lot more nicer looking. So that way the haircut could last a little bit longer for them if they're not typically, every week or 2 week clients. It just grows back a lot nicer. So you can see here we got that half guard on there, and I'm just from where we had the no guard lever all the way open, I open the lever slightly with the half guard, and we open it all the way up until it's completely open, and that's how I faded up from that lever open, no guard. Now I do have the wall half guard on the Rebel, and for me personally, the half guard from wall is always going to be the GOAT of all half guards. I use the double magnetic guards from Stylecraft for all of the haircuts, but for the half guard, I specifically use the wall half guard because it does the job a lot better to me. But right now we have that one guard on there. Lever is open one notch, and we're fading up until we get up into that 1.5 area that we initially cut earlier at the beginning of the hair. But you can see here this taper is coming out nice and blurry. The gradiency with the hair texture, the lighting, the blend is coming out beautifully. But you want to make sure that you are brushing all any debris or hair off that you're not using right now. Get that all knocked off, and just make sure that you keep your strokes as even as possible. That way you can get the cleanest cut possible and keep it extra buttery.
Hey, run that shit, Lou.
But after that, this is basically the haircut. We already edged up both sides. He doesn't get a vertical bar edge up or a front edge up, so we edged up those C-cups around the ear, the nape area, and that'll do it for this haircut. Like I said, something different, something extremely simple, something very basic that sometimes we tend to not highlight in the shop. But there is the cut, 1.5 guard, faded up to some scissor trim on the top, tapered neck, squared sideburns, basic businessman, gentleman type haircut. But I appreciate everybody for clicking on this video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, turn on your post notifications, give this video a like, and until next time, God bless.